Times are tough for investors trying to offload units and apartments here in Melbourne. As Chris Kohler discovered, 1 in 5 is now selling at a loss.
When Natalie wanted to get onto the property ladder, she thought buying an apartment was the perfect first step. And while it was the most affordable option on paper, like many other owners, she's now feeling the pinch of soaring strata fee.
Have an asset worth $1.5 million right now is worth nothing.
What we heard, there's a dodgy engineer that signed off on it back in 2006. And now we're stuck with a repair bill.
Yes, there was stuff that needed to be done urgently to make the place compliant, but they've gone from one extreme to the other, from making the place compliant to turning it into the Taj Mahal.
$80,000. That's what one Sydney apartment owner was told to pay his owner's corporation. Not over 30 years like a mortgage, not over a decade like a car loan. He had 6 weeks. And here's the part that should worry every single apartment owner watching this.
You kind of have to laugh, or you just spend the whole day crying because this is killing us.
Continue to grow and it's become an insurmountable task.
I think for our share it's over $800,000 and our mortgage is $900,000.
It's just not on that we have building regulations like this in place that allow for these things to slip through the cracks.
He did nothing wrong. He didn't skip an inspection. He didn't buy a dodgy off-the-plan special. The bill came anyway because of decisions made by people he'd never met years before he had any say in the matter. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how ordinary Sydney apartment owners are being hit with life-changing special levies, who's actually making money off those levy notices, and the 3 things I'd be checking this week if I owned a unit anywhere in this country. Let's get into it. Right, let me start with Warren. That's not his real name. The Financial Review protected his identity, but the numbers are real and they're documented. Warren owns an apartment in Sydney's eastern suburbs. Last year, he opened a letter from his owner's corporation telling him he owed $80,000 for waterproofing and concrete spalling repairs. The payment deadline was 6 weeks. 6 weeks to find $80,000. Most Australians couldn't find $8,000 in 6 weeks. And if you're thinking, well, he can just refuse to pay, no, he can't. Once an owner's corporation votes a special levy through, every single owner is legally on the hook, even the ones who voted against it. One owner put it perfectly on the Oz Property Chat forum. His exact words: once the homeowners agree to the levy, you're obligated to pay it, even if you voted against it. He went on to say the special levy in his building caused occupancy to drop and property values to fall with it. Now, Warren's not an outlier. On the Oz Finance subreddit, another owner laid out his last 4 levy notices in order. $700, then $1,200, then $4,000, $200, and now $20,500 for stage 3 of ongoing repairs. His words, being up for nearly $80,000 in the next 12 months. Same number as Warren, different building, different suburb, same trap. Another owner on the same forum was hit with $90,000 in a single levy for flammable cladding replacement. 90 grand for cladding a developer chose, a certifier approved, and a builder installed, none of whom are paying a cent of it. And it's not just money. In a 9-story complex in Bankstown, both lifts failed. An elderly resident and a resident in a wheelchair were effectively cut off from their own homes. The building had already collected $3.6 million in strata fees over the years, and the owners still copped a fresh $35,000 levy on top.
With over 90 apartments in the building, you'd just assume that the repairs would be pretty swift. But despite collecting a whopping $3.6 million in strata fees, the residents were slapped with an additional $35,000 special levy.
So how many people are we actually talking about? The NSWL's government's own annual Strata defects survey. And let that sink in for a second. The problem is big enough that the government runs a yearly survey on it. Found that more than half of newer apartment buildings have at least one serious defect. More than half. Flip a coin. That's your odds of buying into a building with a serious defect. And every serious defect is a future levy notice with someone's name on it. Maybe yours. But here's what nobody tells these owners, and it's the part that changed how I see this entire story. These levy notices aren't just bad luck raining down on unlucky buildings. There is a paper trail. Specific parties are making money off the system that produces these bills, and a government-commissioned forensic investigation has already put the numbers in writing. I'm going to show you that document right now. There are 3 layers, and I'll walk you through the money at each one. Layer 1. The building itself. Australia built apartments at a record pace, and a chunk of them were built badly. Waterproofing failures, concrete spalling, flammable cladding, structural cracking. The Australian Bureau of Statistics data shows 236,858 dwellings were under construction nationally in the December 2025 quarter alone. That's the pipeline of buildings that will age into this exact problem over the next decade. Layer 2. The builder disappears. When defects surface, usually years after completion, the company that built the thing is very often gone. ASIC's insolvency statistics show construction recorded 3,472 company insolvencies in the last financial year, the worst-hit industry in the country. Translation: the party legally responsible for the defect no longer exists. The warranty is worthless. The debt doesn't vanish, though. It just slides down the chain until it lands on the only people who can't walk away, the owners. And layer 3 is the one that genuinely got me. The people managing the crisis are, in some documented cases, profiting from it. In 2024, NSW's Fair Trading commissioned forensic accountants McGrath-Nicol to investigate Strata, one of the biggest strata management firms in the state. The findings are public, they're on the regulator's own website, and they are damning. 7 breaches of quoting rules on jobs over $30,000. Undisclosed insurance commissions. And here's the number I want you to remember. Strata's in-house insurance arm was charging brokerage fees that averaged 21.9% of the premium, when the industry average is 9.4%. In some cases, the brokerage fee reached 69% of the premium. 69%. For every dollar of insurance those owners were forced to buy, up to 69 cents extra was going to a company related to their own strata manager. The ABC's 730 program reported that since 2015, Strata banked more than $21 million in brokerage fees, and in some instances, the fee was as much as 110% of the cost of the premium itself. Now, to be fair, most strata managers do disclose their commissions somewhere in the paperwork, but somewhere in the paperwork is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence, because independent research, led by Dr. Nicole Johnston, found embedded insurance commissions sitting inside 91% of strata management agreements. Not a few bad apples, the default setting of the entire industry. So put the 3 layers together and walk the money with me. An owner pays their quarterly levies, believing they're building a repair fund. A defect surfaces, one the builder should have fixed under warranty, except the builder's company was wound up 2 years ago. The owner's corporation has no choice but to commission the repairs itself, so it raises a special levy. The repair job needs insurance, and the insurance flows through the strata manager, who, in the documented cases we've just seen, may be collecting a commission on that very transaction. The bigger the buildings spend, the bigger the flow. At no point in that chain does anyone with power over the money have a strong financial incentive to keep the owner's costs down. Defective building, vanished builder, conflicted management. The owner at the bottom of that stack isn't a customer, they're a captive, and when the bill lands, the walls close in. One owner on the Aus Property subreddit described what happened when their building needed a $6 million loan for renovations and water leak repairs. Quarterly strata fees hit $8,000, $8,000, 4 times a year, on top of the mortgage. His words: many owners were forced to sell their apartments because they could no longer manage the rising costs. But just sell is where this story turns properly dark, because you can't. And here's the single most shocking statistic I found in this entire investigation. According to ABC News reporting on official bankruptcy data, 10% of all forced bankruptcies across Australia are now caused by strata levy debts. In New South Wales, it's 18%. In the ACT, 29%. Nearly 1 in 3 forced bankruptcies in the nation's capital starts with a strata levy notice. Let that sink in. And this isn't a Sydney problem, or even a New South Wales problem. It's national, and I can show you exactly how far it goes. Right, let's talk about scale. And let's start with the building that made this crisis famous, Mascot Towers. When cracks appeared in that Sydney building, the initial repair estimate was $7 million. It blew out past $32 million, with total costs heading toward $53 million. Spread across 132 units, That worked out to an average of around $400,000 per owner. One owner told the ABC, "We'll all go bankrupt, $400,000 each, for apartments they couldn't live in and couldn't sell. And I want to be precise about why Mascot Towers matters so much, beyond its own residents. It demonstrated, in the most public way possible, that when an Australian apartment building fails, the losses fall almost entirely on the owners. Not the developer, not the certifier who signed off on it, not the insurers, the owners. Every Strata purchase since then has carried the shadow of that precedent, and every buyer who read those headlines learned to fear the words special levy on a Strata report. The ABC's follow-up reporting months later found owners still trapped, drowning in debt, holding uninhabitable apartments, years on. And the market knows. A documented case from Sutherland, an owner bought for $640,000 in 2015 and sold for $470,000 in 2025 after a $20 million special levy hit the building. 10 years of ownership, $170,000 poorer. An owner in the Rosebery Mascot area posted that repairs on their 9-unit building were estimated above $2 million, meaning levies will begin at around $200,000 per unit, necessitating loans. 9 ordinary owners, each facing a bill bigger than most Australians' entire super balance. And buyers have learned to run. As one commenter put it, selling when a special levy hits usually means a loss, if you can actually sell it. Most prospective buyers will run at the sight of a special levy. Another owner, weighing up a pending $100,000 per unit levy spread over a decade, wrote, "I might end up selling at a loss, possibly even below what I owe on the mortgage." That's the can't leave half of this story in one sentence. The moment the levy makes you desperate to sell is the exact moment your apartment becomes unsellable, and the escape hatches you'd normally reach for are welded shut too. Refinancing to cover the levy? The bank values the apartment, sees the defect disclosure and the pending special levy, and the valuation comes back underwater. There's no equity left to lend against. Renting it out to cover the costs? The levy follows the title, not the tenant, so the bill lands on you either way, and buildings mid-remediation, with scaffolding over the balconies, don't exactly command premium rent. Every door out of the building leads back into the building. The resale data backs it up. Cotality, the property analytics firm, formerly known as CoreLogic, publishes the Pain and Gain report every quarter, tracking which resales make or lose money. Their data shows units massively overrepresented in loss-making sales nationally, with a median loss around $44,000. Now, to be fair, not every special levy is a scandal. Buildings genuinely age. Lifts, roofs, and fire systems genuinely need replacing, and a properly run sinking fund is supposed to smooth those costs out over decades. The problem isn't that maintenance costs money. The problem is defective buildings, vanished builders, and conflicted management turning what should be a few $1,000s a year into an $80,000 ambush with a 6-week deadline. And this is where the international comparison makes Australia look, frankly, cooked. In the United Kingdom, after the cladding crisis, the government passed the Building Safety Act. Official UK government guidance now confirms that many leaseholders are legally protected from paying for building safety defects. The cost shifts to developers and building owners. Same defect, same cladding. In the UK, the developer pays. In New South Wales, Warren gets a letter and 6 weeks. Think about what that difference actually means. 2 owners, one in Manchester and one in Maroubra, living in near-identical buildings with near-identical cladding failures. One of them is legally shielded, and the developer wears the bill. The other is personally liable for tens of thousands of dollars because of a legal structure they never chose, and most of them never fully understood when they signed the contract. That's not a market outcome. That's a policy choice. And the UK Parliament's own committee report on remediation funding shows a government can choose differently. NSW has moved on part of this. A $930 million cladding remediation fund exists precisely because the average removal and replacement cost was estimated at $4 million per building across roughly 225 high-risk buildings. But it's an interest-free loan scheme layered on a system where the owner still carries the risk. Look at America And the difference is just as stark in dollar terms. U.S. financial reporting shows median homeowners association fees surged 44% last year to $757, and nearly 10% of associations levied a special assessment, with the median charge at $1,100, $1,100 US dollars. Warren's bill was $80,000, due in 6 weeks. New Zealand's data shows nearly a third of apartment resales going through at a loss, median loss $63,000. Across the developed world, apartment owners are hurting, but nowhere I could find are ordinary owners carrying six-figure defect bills at this scale, on this timeline, with this little protection. The Guardian's investigation found owners completely blindsided. New owners hit with special levies shortly after settlement, some forced to take second jobs or face bankruptcy over sudden bills in the tens of thousands. And the supply side is quietly making the trap worse. ABS building approvals data shows total dwelling approvals fell 1.1% to 17,019 in May, with unit approvals falling sharply relative to houses. Fewer new apartments means more buyers pushed into the existing, aging, defect-prone stock, the exact buildings where these levies live. So where does this go from here? Let me give you 3 scenarios. The optimistic case, NSUS follows through on banning strata manager insurance commissions, the annual defects survey drives real enforcement, and within a few years new buildings carry genuinely lower defect risk. The UK showed a legislative fix is possible. The realistic case, reforms pass slowly. They help future buyers, but they do almost nothing for the hundreds of thousands of owners already sitting in defective stock. Those levies still land, and the bankruptcy numbers keep climbing before they flatten. The bearish case. Construction insolvencies stay at record levels. More builders phoenix out of their liability, and the levy wave rolls through buildings completed in the boom years of the 2010s, meaning the worst notices haven't even been posted yet. Now, the part of this video I actually want you to act on. 4 things worth checking this week, whether you own a unit or you're thinking of buying one. 1. Pull the strata records. In NSWs, you're entitled to inspect the owner's corporation's books. Look for the Capital Works fund balance and any engineer's reports. A healthy fund and a recent building report is your best early warning system. A near-empty fund on an older building is a levy waiting to happen. 2. Read your strata management agreement and find the insurance commission clause. It's in there. Remember, research found it in 91% of agreements. Ask your strata manager, in writing, what commission or brokerage they or any related entity receives on the building's insurance. They have to answer. 3. If you're buying, make the strata report a deal breaker, not a formality. Look specifically for the words special levy, remedial, waterproofing, cladding, and spalling in the minutes of the last 3 years of meetings. Buyers who read the minutes don't get blindsided. 4. If your building has flammable cladding, check whether it's eligible for the USFLO's remediation program before your owner's corporation votes on a levy. The government fund exists, and buildings have missed it simply because nobody asked. If you own an apartment right now, this data is your reason to look at your building's paperwork this month, not after the next AGM. If you're a first home buyer eyeing units because houses are out of reach, the Strata report is the single most important document in your purchase, more important than the price. If you're an investor, factor a defect risk discount into every Strata purchase because Cotality's numbers say the market already does. And if you're renting in an apartment building, watch for sudden fee disputes among owners. They have a habit of turning into deferred maintenance around you. Here's the truth. More than half of newer apartment buildings have a serious defect. Owners are copping levies of $80,000 and beyond, with weeks to pay, and strata levy debt now drives 1 in 10 forced bankruptcies in this country. I'll be covering builder collapses, strata ripoffs, and property traps like this every week. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.